Put simply, a will is a legal document that you will make to cover all your assets, all your personal belongings, your wishes as regards your children, for after you die. Everybody needs a will. I think for some reason people are a little bit afraid of them, but generally speaking, there's two parts to it. You should have a will to cover everything in your life, all your assets, all your belongings, all your wishes. Try and help your family and your friends after you pass on. You don't want to have them fighting over anything of the unknown. You want to have everything prepared for your children. It governs all of that. In the UAE, it's a whole separate element in the sense that we're expatriates over here and everything is governed by local law. So, if you don't have a will in the UAE, then it's going to be subject to the rulings of either Sharia law or the local courts. Now, you can go to the local courts and ask them to implement the laws of your home country, but it's not always a given guarantee. So it's better that you have a will in place to govern things like your bank account and your personal belongings, again, your children. Otherwise, it will be down to discretion and rulings of Sharia law, which can become much more complicated and much more taxing, again, for your family and your friends to try to have to deal with, particularly where expats are concerned. They could all be overseas. So it's even more important for expats locally to consider making one. Yes and no. Simply put, in a DIFC will matter, it can only be made by non-Muslim individuals. Onshore speaking, a Muslim could make a will, but it would need to be compliant with the rulings and code of Sharia law, and you can't deviate from that. So they can have the same concept in terms of their wishes, but it would be subject to Sharia law nonetheless. Everybody should make a will. We quite often get asked the question whether it's necessary or if just one person or if a husband or wife only needs to make one. For example, that they only have the assets in one of their names. Does the other one really need it? The answer across the board is yes. Everybody needs to make a will, and for one very specific reason. We all have our own estate bubble, if you will. So whether you feel you don't have much by way of assets or earnings, you will still have your own estate, your own aspect of personal belongings, your own items, perhaps they're family heirlooms or sentimental items that will belong to you. You will have a bank account, perhaps, that just belongs to you, whether there's anything in it or a lot in it or not, it doesn't really matter. Your estate is unique and identifiable only to you. And in order for that estate to be dealt with after your death, it has to be by way of a will and a grant of probate via the courts. So essentially, if you don't have a will and someone can't then deal with your estate on your behalf, it becomes very, very complicated, again, for your family and your friends. So in best practice, absolutely everybody should make a will. Will should be updated generally on occasion of major life events. So when you get married, if you get divorced, when you have children, any major changes in your financial status, any major changes in your earnings, any major changes in your assets. So you don't want to be updating it every 5 minutes. But in terms of key events in your life, you want to make sure it's covering all the bases as and when those major changes occur in your life. Very straightforward. Everybody finds wills to be quite daunting. A lot of people put them off because they think it's going to be very, very complicated. It's actually not. So generally speaking, where we're talking about a DIFC will, you need to contact a DIFC wills draftsman, such as myself. You can find the draftsman online. You get in touch with us and we will take you through a very straightforward, simple process of questions and answers to get an understanding of your assets, your estate, your family, and your wishes as regards what you want to do with your personal belongings and your children and those assets. And from that picture, we will then guide you through the drafting of the will itself. worked with you to prepare a will you are comfortable and happy with. And as at the point that we are of an understanding that we've achieved a will that reflects your wishes for the future, we will then arrange a meeting with the DIFC Wills and Probate office, whereby we go through and we read through the will, we sign the will, we stamp the will, we formalise and officialise it, and then that's it. The whole process can take as little as 4 weeks.